Dear student, myself Rajendra Asari, I am assistant professor in computer science department at Government Bangad PG College, Didwana. Dear student, in the previous class we started a concept on transaction and management system. Under that topic, we covered various concepts like acid property. In that, we discussed how to ensure atomicity, isolation, consistency in database, or while performing a transaction, how to maintain the atomicity, consistency, isolation when more than one transaction is happening in a database, then there might be a possibility of the collision between the transaction. So in order to ensure the we can say the isolation property, we need to include a concurrency control mechanism, right? After that, suppose the transaction is happening and in between due to some failure, if system crash, then the database might go in a inconsistent state. So to ensure that inconsistency doesn't occur in a transaction, we need to ensure the durability property. Durability property say that we need to maintain the state of the transaction until the changes are the reflected in the database. So till now, how to implement the isolation with help of various concurrency control mechanism. In that log-based protocol we discussed. In log-based protocol, before acquiring or before applying any transaction operation like read and write on any data item of the transaction, we need to acquire the log. Now log can be acquired in two ways. Either it can be acquired in shared mode or exclusive mode. In exclusive mode, read and write both the permission are granted for the operation, right? So it depends upon the concurrency control matrix. In that matrix, the compatibility between the modes are given. Means if any operation or any item is having a lock, suppose either shared or exclusive, can we grant another lock? What are the various possibility? All these are concerned in lock based protocol. Now in log based protocol, after that we discussed a two-phase protocol. In that two-phase protocol, there were two phase. One phase was growing phase and second phase was shrinking phase. In growing phase, as the name implies, we were keep on issuing the lock depending upon the mode. And in shrinking mode, we are just releasing the lock, right? Next, how to implement a lock in a particular mode. So for that we require an entity called as lock manager. So what is lock manager? A lock manager can be implemented as a separate process to which transactions send the lock or unlock the request, right? Now the lock manager replies to a lock request by sending a lock grant message or a message asking the transaction to roll back in case of the deadlock. Suppose there is a deadlock means all the transaction operation are waiting for another transaction to release their particular lock in order to process further. So the state where all the transaction operation are in waiting state is called as infinite waiting, and it is a condition of deadlock. Deadlock means system cannot proceed further. Any transaction cannot proceed further is called as deadlock. So lock manager we can implement as a separate process to which transaction either send the lock or unlock the request. So lock manager is the main entity which will control sending the lock and releasing the lock. Now it will lock manager generally reply to a lock request by granting the lock, or it will just send a grant message or message asking the transaction to roll back in case of a deadlock. Suppose a deadlock is there, then there is no use of granting the lock because it is still in the deadlock, right? So in that case we need the lock manager will just and send a message to just roll back the particular transaction so that deadlock will be removed. Now the requesting transaction wait until its request is answered. The lock manager maintain a data structure which is called as a lock table to record granted locks and pending request. Now the lock table is usually implemented as an in-memory hash table indexed on the name of the data item being locked, right? Now next, lock table. If you see in log table, there are two rectangle in this particular example block diagram. One is white rectangle and another is black rectangle, right? So these black rectangle indicate the granted log, while ones indicate waiting request, right? So the white ones are request for, are the rectangle which are the waiting state, and the granted log are the black one. So if you see in this diagram, 17 number 17 number operation suppose, and 123, these two are the waiting, and 123 suppose allocated. After 123 allocated, then t1 transaction will come, t23 transaction allocated. Now after that, t1 transaction will be acquiring the lock, then t8 transaction, and then after releasing it will given to t2. So in this manner, in this particular diagram, a snapshot is shown here, in order to understand that how to grant the lock and how to request a particular lock. Now this lock table also record the type of lock granted or requested. Means lock can be of various type. So which type of lock it is, actually this information is also stored with the lock table, right? Now, if we want to apply for the new request, so in order to a new request is added to the end of the queue of the request for the data item, and it is granted if it is compatible with all the earlier law. So suppose a new request will be granted if and only if at the end of the queue of the request for the data item, and it is granted if it is compatible with all the earlier locks. Now unlock request result in the request being deleted, and later requests are checked to see if they can now be granted or not, right? So if the transaction abort, suppose all the waiting or granted request of the transaction are deleted, clear? So the lock manager may keep a list of locks held by each the transaction, and to implement this efficiently, right? Now next is graph based protocol. So up to this point we discussed about the lock based protocol, in which there is a acquiring the lock and releasing the lock process, clear? And whenever a lock is with any transaction, then only that particular transaction is processing its operation on a particular data item, right? Now graph based protocol. Graph based protocol are an alternative to two phase protocol. Means in two phase protocol, growing phase and shrinking phase. So as an alternative, there are some other process or other protocol called as graph based protocol. Now in this we impose a partial ordering on the set D, where D is D1 D2 up to all the data item are listed. So we say that all the data item are listed in the form of a set, right? And we will impose a partial ordering on this particular set. Now we are saying that if there is an edge from DI to DJ, then any transaction accessing both the DI and DJ must access either DI before accessing the DJ. Okay, so it implies that the set D may now be viewed as a direct acyclic graph. It is called as a database graph, right? Now the tree protocol is a simple kind of graph protocol in this case, right? So we are saying that if DI to DJ, any edge is there, then any transaction accessing both the DI and DJ must access DI before accessing the DJ. Now it implies that the set D may now be viewed as a directed acyclic graph called as a database graph. Now the tree protocol is a simple kind of graph protocol, right? In tree protocol, what happen? So if you see in this tree protocol, there are various nodes available. Suppose there is one edge from A to B. It means A is processed first on particular data item A, and after that B is processed. So if you, here you will say there are total 10 nodes are there, A to J. Now only exclusive locks are allowed. only exclusive loads are allowed in this particular tree protocol. Exclusive protocol or exclusive lock means we can provide the permission of read and write as well. Now the first lock by T of I may be on any data item. Subsequently, a data queue can be locked by Ti only if the parent of queue is currently locked by I. So suppose we are saying that if we want to give lock on data item B, then we can provide exclusive lock on B if and only if there is a lock we can provide on the A. Why? Because B is child of A. So here again I am reading this concept. The first lock by Ti may be on any data item. Initially the first lock can be assured on any data item, but subsequently data queue can be locked by Ti only if the parent of queue is currently locked by Ti. So data items may be unlocked at any time. A data item that has been logged and unlocked by TI cannot subsequently be relogged by the TI, right? So we say that a data item that has been logged and unlocked by TI, which cannot be subsequently be relogged by TI. Okay. Now in graph-based protocol, some more concept. The tree protocol ensure the conflict serializability as well as freedom from the deadlock. Conflict serializability means if a set of transaction or a schedule can be converted into a serial schedule with the help of swapping of the non-conflicting operations, clear, then we can say that that particular schedule, concurrent schedule, is equivalent to serial schedule and it is conflict equivalent to a serial schedule. So this maintains the conflict serializability property. Deadlock, freedom from deadlock means at least one transaction is able to process its operation in free manner. It means all the transactions are not in waiting state. If all the transaction in waiting state, that is deadlock. But freedom from deadlock means at least one transaction is able to perform its operation, right? Now unlocking may occur earlier in the tree locking protocol than in the two-phase locking protocol. Now it has shorter waiting time and it increase in the concurrency. Now protocol is deadlock free, no rollbacks are required, right? Drawbacks, protocol does not guarantee recoverability or cascade freedom, right? In graph based protocol it doesn't guarantee the recoverability or the cascade freedom. We need to introduce commit dependencies to ensure the recoverability. Now transaction may have to lock data items that they do not access. Increased locking overhead and additional waiting time it requires. Potential decrease in the concurrency, right? Now schedules not possible under two-phase locking are possible under tree protocol and vice versa. We can say there are schedules which not possible under two-phase locking are possible in the tree protocol, right? Means the schedule which is not supported by the two-phase locking protocol is can be implemented with help of tree protocol. Now next is multiple granularity. What do you mean by this? It allows data items to be of various size and define a hierarchy of data granularity, where the small granularity are nested within larger ones. We can be represent it can be represented graphically as a tree, but don't confuse with tree locking protocol. Granularity is different from the tree based locking protocol. When a transaction locks a node in the tree explicitly, it implicitly locks all the nodes descendants in the same mode. Now granularity of locking. Now level in tree where locking is done, fine or coarse. So fine granularity, it is lower in the tree means, what do you mean by this? High concurrency will be applied and high locking overhead will be there. Coarse granularity, it means it is higher in the tree and low locking overhead will be there, low concurrency will be there, right? Now some example is given. So suppose as and when we go in the depth, then granularity will be increased, means parallelism will be increased. More and more nodes are included in this tree hierarchy, right? And at the top, and the granularity is the less. So the levels starting from corest top level are first database, after that area, then file, and then the smallest is the record. So if you see, fine means in the lower part of the tree, at the we can say last level or second last level, high concurrency and high locking overhead. But at the upper part, that is at the node or the intermediate level, the low locking overhead will be there and low concurrency will be there. So that's all from this lecture. Thank you.